I'm really proud to be here, not just with Tom and the folks at TMPA, but all these other 60 folks and organizations that they represent. Standing with me today are people who represent Texans from all walks of life. There's a little bit of everything standing back here behind me. They've got, and each one of them have a vested interest in the future of the state. Not only for themselves, their families, their neighbors. And I'm deeply honored to have the support of folks from fields that include agriculture, healthcare, retail sales, manufacturing, construction, law enforcement, education, as well as advocates of genuine, powerful Texas values. All of them play a very essential role in our state's future. With support like theirs, anything is possible, and I'm genuinely grateful for it. There's no question that the 2010 election and as they're occurring are a watershed moment in our country's history. First, our nation's in the midst of an economic struggle that exceeds anything that we've seen in decades. Across the country, Americans are dealing with the uncertainty that comes with double-digit employment, rising prices, and a two-front war on terror. Here in Texas, things are better across the board, but we have not been immune to the effects of this economic crisis. Our unemployment rate may be close to 2 full points below the national average. We may have created 41,000 jobs last month, but there's still a lot of Texans with concerns about the future. As our nation works its way out of what currently I certainly recognize, and I think most people do, is some pretty dire straits, it needs as strong a Texas as it's ever had before. I think there's never been a more important time for this country to have a strong Texas. And Texas is strong because Texans have no match when it comes to innovation and work ethic. Secondly, Texas is strong because of years of principled conservative leadership that has emphasized spending cuts over tax increases, job creation over social engineering and social spending, individual freedom over government intervention. Unfortunately, we are now dealing with a federal government that is barreling in the opposite direction with rather unimpeding speed, it seems. Like most Texans, I'm very frustrated with the power structure that is throwing borrowed money at every problem, piling up debt with unprecedented levels, intruding even further into the lives of private citizens. I'm deeply concerned that the folks in Washington have chosen a time when our country is hemorrhaging jobs to consider legislation and regulatory flights of fancy that will put more Americans out of work and cripple both the Texas and the U.S. economy. Whether you're talking about health care legislation that will hammer states like Texas with multi-billion-dollar spending requirements, or cap and trade bills that will drive hundreds of thousands of jobs overseas, the trend is clearly going in the wrong direction. That only affirms why I believe that the future well-being of our country resides at the state level with experienced executives leading their states to sustain a climate of innovation, while I might add running interference against a federal government that is run amok. That's why I'm seeking re-election. That is exactly the reason. I love Texas. I'm fully convinced that we have the fundamentals in place to lead our country out of these tough times. Our low taxes, our predictable regulatory climate, our fair legal system, and improving schools have helped make us a national leader, not only in exports, but also in Fortune 500 companies. In the months and years to come, we need principled, conservative leadership with the proven ability to make the tough decisions that'll keep Texas moving forward. For example, there's been only 2 state budgets in Texas history since World War II that cut general revenue spending in Texas. And I signed both of them, Tom. In the process, I also line item vetoed more than $3 billion of unnecessary spending. That is more than all the Texas governors prior to me combined. In public education, we have made significant progress in the way that we educate our children. We've moved closer to our goal of making our high school graduates college and career ready, emphasizing those basic courses, introducing incentive pay for teachers, making sure that school districts are responsible and good stewards of our tax dollars. And at the same time, we've also improved access to our colleges and universities by increasing financial aid by 900%, laying the groundwork for even more Tier 1 universities. We've taken a Texas-style approach to issues like the environment, using incentives instead of those Washington-style mandates. We've been able to reduce the ozone levels in the state of Texas by 22% from 2000 to 2008. We've also made strategic investments in job creation through our Texas Enterprise Fund. We've stimulated the climate of innovation in our state with the Emerging Technology Fund. Combined with the rigorous fiscal discipline, investments like these with the Enterprise and the Emerging Technology Fund, we have stimulated the climate of innovation in our state, and we've strengthened the foundation of our economy, enabling us to compete with other states for jobs and investments. We'll be even more competitive if we can take the tax cuts that we put in place this last legislative session, those 40,000 small businesses that got a tax cut, Tom, and make those cuts permanent. We need to keep our taxes low, give more power to our people by proposing a constitutional amendment that requires a 2/3 vote of the legislature before they can raise taxes. We need to, I'll allow you to tackle me. We need to continue efforts to sustain a predictable regulatory climate by rooting out any unnecessary regulations that stifle innovation and investment, and ultimately they kill jobs. We need to keep improving the way that we prepare our children to compete in the global marketplace by doubling the number of STEM academies that we have in our schools, in our schools in the state, and increasing the number of the You Teach programs at our universities. These are just a few of the ways that we can, and I think we will, sustain our state's forward momentum. Again, with those Texas values, with that conservative, proven leadership, and I might add the support of hard-working Texans like those that are with me here today. So tomorrow, I'm going to pay a call to the good people of the Republican Party at the headquarters downtown in Austin, Texas, and sign my name on the dotted line for re-election as your governor of the great state of Texas. So let me just add that Anita and I give you our great and gracious thanks. Thank you for keeping us in your prayers. Thank you for your devotion to this state. God bless you, and through you, may God continue to bless the great state of Texas.